Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to another early access premiere draft of Edge of Eternities, the brand new set. Thanks again to Wizards of the Coast for providing me with the promotional early access token to play in this event, and without further ado, let's just get into it. We've got a really fun rare with one of the new mechanics, the Warp ability. That lets you play it for a cheaper mana cost on an earlier turn, but if you do warp it in, it's only going to stick around for one turn, then it's going to go to exile, and you'll have to recast it from exile for its full mana cost to keep it around later in the game. So a lot of these warp cards have some really interesting designs with good like enter abilities, or maybe they're hasty creatures, or another thing you can do is you can crew your vehicles or station your spacecraft with them, even though they're summoning sick the turn that you warp them in. So a lot of fun things you can do with warp, and this rare, because it is a rare, it's going to have some really powerful ways to use that mechanic all by itself. And with this one, we're going to be able to potentially shoot a 1 toughness creature on our opponent's board, as well as just jam in for 4 damage when we warp it in. So pretty fun start there. Grab the Nova Hellkite. Pick number 2, there's a great white card with warp. This is an uncommon. Warps for only 2 mana, and then it picks up a basic plains or a creature with mana value 1 or less. So if we have like a 2-land opening hand, this makes that really keepable thanks to the warp to pick up a plains. And once we have the mana to cast it, we can just pick up a creature off of it when we fully cast it for 5. So I like that. I also like just taking cut propulsion. Honestly, deal damage to itself, having any creature deal damage to itself equal to its power is going to kill most creatures, I think. So this is just really solid removal. 2 in a red kill almost anybody. And it sticks to the color of our bomber we're really trying to play. So I think I could just go for cut propulsion here. But the Shepherd might be strong enough to get us pushing into another color already. Pick 3. I don't like a lot of the cards in this pack. There's better Chocobo Racetrack with the use social engineering. Get a 2/2 robot on turn 3, because you spend 2 to put this out for 1 turn, then play your land. And then also get a 2/2 robot landfall every turn from turn 6 onward. Bonder's Enclave is actually, if you have a good mana base, it's solid. Draw a card every turn in the late game. I think almost every color pair in this set can easily have multiple creatures with power 4 or greater at the top of their mana curve. Bonner's Enclave actually might be the pick here. Just if we're flooded out, now we have a card draw engine. If we've just got one of our pieces of beef on the board. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Pick 4, some great options. I'm a huge fan of Orbital Plunge, and I think that's what I'm going to take here. Deal 6 to a creature, and if it's something with less than 6 toughness, you get a lander token out of this as well. Just one of the few ways to fix your mana in this format, one of the few ways to ramp. Lander tokens are very nice. If we want to push off color, we've got the big X mana play of the Broodguard Elite to get a bunch of +1/+1 counters on this creature. And got a little Brute Strength Combat trick, +3/+2. Nebula Dragon's been a fun card to ramp into. Solid pack, but definitely go for the plunge out of those options. Pick number 5, I think I'm finally going to not take a red card. Ruinous Rampage seems a little bit narrow for me. There are some cheap artifact creatures, and there's also exiles all the artifact tokens, like 2/2 robots and lander tokens and stuff. But mostly feels really made for constructed. So we've got Lost in Space for a filler blue removal spell, Germinating Worm for a filler beefy green creature, Hole Carver or Comet Crawler for aggressive black creatures, or the pilot trying to go like Boros vehicles or something. I guess I'll just take the Crawler. I'm not a big fan of any of those. When I say Boros vehicles, I mean Boros spacecraft. I'm going to get that wrong a lot. I mean spacecraft, not vehicles. Pick 6, Pulsar Squadron Ace. We can try the red-white spacecraft deck here. Find some efficient spacecraft, and this could draw one of them when we play it. If it doesn't, then it's still a 2 mana 2/3 on curve. It also has a +1/+1 counter, and some cards do care about having +1/+1 counters on the board. Yeah, I think Squadron Ace has the highest potential upside out of that pack. Virus Beetle here certainly has the highest potential upside. Great for a sacrifice deck. and that would be the black-red archetype if we go that way. Virus Beetle and Comet Crawler working together pretty well in that kind of deck. Zookeeper Mechan's pretty easy as a pick. Again, I think no matter what colors you're in, you can end up playing some really high mana value spells. And so a Mana Dork out of red, weird color to have a Mana Dork, but it does actually work, I think, in the right deck in the set. Pick 9, there's a Pangolin. Another nice thing about the Mechan is that the artifact card type is pretty relevant. There are some other cards that'll just care about you having random artifacts, and the Pangolin is certainly a random artifact to have. Format 5/3. Yeah, I'll take the Pangolin here. Stick very deep to red. All right, it looks like we could probably be red-black. Everything in this pack is black here, and I don't think any of these are that bad. Try to be really aggressive. Warping in a timeline color for a couple damage early. And we can keep recasting this from its grave, from the grave with its warp. Also, that sorcery I don't think is a terrible card either, nor is the command bridge, because there's just no duels in the set. So if you're desperate for fixing, you can use that. But the more aggressive you are, the worse the command bridge is, because it's a double tap land. It enters tap, and you have to tap another permanent when you play it. Anyways, I lost my train of thought. There was something else I wanted to say, but I forgot by now. This is a fun start here. Pretty aggressive-looking Rakdos build. But the Bonder's Enclave as well, that's cool. It works with the Crawlers if we sack something to them. They are 4 power. So, doesn't look like we have a bunch to trigger them, but we actually have 4 different cards that could do it. So let's see what we got. Pack 2, pick 1. We have no removal on color. Got a little Warping Haster. We've got a good top-end spell. 6 mana, 6/6 reach. Solid stat line for the cost, and we get landfall triggers to exile cards until we hit a non-land card, and then we can cast it this turn. So every time we play land, we know we're drawing a spell, and we can play that spell for the turn. That feels pretty good. Scrounge for Eternity also looks fun, though. Some good sack synergies on that card, but we'll take the Territorial Brentar. Triple black is a hard sell unless you're incredibly deep into the colors. So unless we go a 10-7 split towards black with red as the secondary instead of the main, I don't think that'll be very good. I currently look a lot more likely to play red as the main color, but I don't think that it's that difficult to speculate on the Archenemy's Charm here, because the upside of this card is a lot higher than anything else. The power level is much higher than anything else, so even if we don't end up playing it, I don't think we're really missing out on much. We're not taking a 4th Comet Crawler or like a Beckoner, a Mechan, or a Rig for War. There's just not a ton on color here, so we will speculate on the Archenemy's Charm, which will only get played if we can go really deep into black, and if it does get played, we'll probably have to cut Bonner's Enclave. Probably can't afford to play colorless lands and triple black cards and double red cards in the same deck, especially in a format that doesn't have dual lands. The only dual lands here are at rare and off of the bonus sheet. So pick 3, I think Faller's Faithful is pretty reasonable for an aggressive deck, because they are likely to be blocking your small creatures later with their big blockers, and then this can finish them off. Worst case scenario, if they have something really, really good that you desperately need to kill, you can let them draw 2 cards. But generally, you would really rather not do that. You'd rather just play it without killing something at that point, most of the time. Pick 4, another Virus Beetle is reasonable for the color pair. I don't like Meteor Crater too much. It only adds mana of a color of something you have on the board. If I have no colored permanents on the board, this doesn't even tap for mana. That's a massive downside. If your land can sometimes just not even tap for mana, like if this is in our opening hand, we can't treat it as a land, because it's not going to help us play our first spell. Yeah, I can't take Meteor Crater. That, I think, is just not good. Pick 5. Umbral Caller Zealot sure is good for this archetype. A free sacrifice outlet. If we can get any of those steal effects that let us borrow one of our opponent's creatures for a turn, those are going to be very strong now with something that sacks things for that cheap. Pick 6. Take a command bridge here speculatively. Little bit of fixing, which is going to be relevant. Again, we have double reds and triple blacks, potentially. So command bridge, more likely to be relevant than the Rampage. The Dark Endurance might actually be better. It's a solid combat trick, but we'll see. Take the command bridge. Not the best removal spell because we have to sack something to use it, but if any archetype could sack something, it would be black, red, or black, white. We are black, red. Take the Monoist here. That's something pretty good to sacrifice, but I'll take the removal. Pick 8, get the removal again. Actually, I like the scrap bot here. I like lander tokens a lot already, but they're also good in decks that want to sacrifice a creature or artifact for value. That's an artifact token for our Embrace Oblivion and stuff. I also like Creeping Tar Pit, but we're not in blue. But that's a cool card with great artwork. All right. This looks really reasonable. I mean, our rare is like just solid, so I'm not like super excited about this deck. But it's not lacking a ton anywhere. We've got like 4 removal spells. We've got a couple pretty solid top end plays and a lot of cheap cards. This looks like a reasonable deck right now. And we have a whole third pack to just improve it at this point. I've got 22 cards in here already, 23. All right. Pack 3, pick 1. What have we here? Requiem Monolith. 2 and a black until end of turn. By tapping this, target creature gains whenever this is dealt damage, you draw that many cards and lose that much life. That creature's controller may have this artifact deal 1 to it. Activate only as a sorcery. Weird. Activate only as a sorcery? So it's a Phyrexian Arena, but narrow. A Phyrexian Arena that you can only do when you have a creature on your board that has more than 1 toughness. So it doesn't work with Virus Beetles. I guess it makes it so they don't want to block your 2/2 when you send in with it. I don't know about that. I'm just going to take this thing that buffs our whole board. It seems good for aggro decks. All of our creatures get +1/+0 as long as this is on board. So 4 mana 4/3 that anthems everybody else. Makes Virus Beetles 2/1s. Crawlers 3/3s. Sure. I like Orbital Plunge a lot, and I'm not super high on removal yet, so I think I'm going to take that. But I don't mind Fell Grabship. This is one of the spacecraft I've been the most impressed with for just having a really solid enter effect and then becoming a pretty relevant creature, 3/2 flying lifelink to win race as well. But I'm going to take the plunge. Pack 3, pick 3. Hey, Signpost Uncommon. 4 mana, 2/2 flyer. When it enters, return an artifact or creature from your grave to hand, and at the beginning of your end step, if an online permanent left the battlefield or a spell was warped, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's a Gravedigger with flying that also gets bigger. That seems pretty good. I think I can take that over Bard and Gravkill, but those are excellent removal spells. Luckily, I've taken enough removal, 1, 2, 3, 4, even if I don't play Embrace Oblivion, that I think I can afford the pick on the Mechan. I will say something. I think we might have actually gotten there on the Archenemy's Charm, or the Archenemy's Charm. We've got more black spells than red right now. I've got random lander tokens. I have Command Bridge I could play. So I think the mana will work out here. Here's a Plasma Bolt. That seems reasonable. Form Color's fine in this archetype. Nebula Dragon has been a fine card to ramp into. Don't think we like Litho Breaking, because that probably kills a lot of our littler stuff. Pick 5, another Plasma Bolt, another Pangolin, another Virus Beetle. Evangel, that gets bigger as we're cracking our Lander tokens or using our Umbral Collar Zealots. All that kind of stuff. I'm just on Team Virus Beetle. Let's just load up here. Card should be annoying. Let's find out exactly how good Virus Beetle is, because there's a full play set in this deck. I think having a full play set of Virus Beetle makes the Embrace Oblivion very reasonable. So if we see a second copy, we'll actually run it. We do see a second copy. The System's Override might be better, though. I don't have a lot of ways to sacrifice opposing cards, but if I ever draw a way to do so and the System's Override together, that's going to be a really winning position. But there's also just really big creatures. We can finish our opponent off with their own creature sometimes. I like the System's Override. Tragic Trajectory is a great void removal spell. Saw Ship doesn't seem awful either. Did get another Embrace Oblivion to go with our quad virus beetles. I'm actually just going to cut some removal. Crazy. Do I end up cutting the charm? Just because most of the time I think I'm just using it as removal, and I feel like I have plenty other removal that is not nearly as color restrictive. And that also lets me play my colorless land and not play Command Bridge anymore. Let's get pretty aggressive here. Let's go like 17 creatures. Go real low curve if we can. Might cut the Mana Dork and like some 5s. It's a 4 mana 4/4. Yeah, I can cut 4 creatures. I'm at 17 creatures then. I think that seems fine. This is a lot of Comet Crawlers, though. I might play one of those 5/4s over all these Comet Crawlers. They're flexible. And then 4 non-creature cards to cut. Love the Orbital Plunges. Override's fun. Archimage Charm is kind of difficult to cast. My god, we have Tragic Trajectory and Plasma Bolt, even a quad beetle deck. These might just be efficient enough, I just don't need the Oblivion. I don't know, the fact that they can kill anything is pretty huge, at least over Plasma Bolt. Trajectory can also kill almost anything. -10, -10 if we void. Cutting 4 cards. I'll definitely cut the Plasma Bolt. Am I keeping all of these and cutting all this? I do feel like cutting the triple black card. I mean, let me look at it again. Nine times out of 10, I really do think we're just exiling a creature with this. So it's just really hard to cast removal when I do have plenty of solid removal. Maybe not quite as good, because they're not flexible like this is, but the mana cost is a huge, huge downside. I think that's a fine cut. Plasma Bolt's definitely a fine cut. Temporal Intervention is not a bad card, because if you can void it, then it's actually quite good. It's literally a Thoughtseize if you can void it, but you don't have to pay any life. If you can't void it, then 3 mana to Thoughtseize your opponent, no extra benefit, isn't that good. But again, it tries to pay off for that by being really good when you void with it. I'm just going to hope that just a bunch of removal spells is enough that I don't need to be trying to interact with my opponent's hand, because this has the same kind of downsides that every piece of hand disruption has, where it's just a really bad top deck in the late game. But if you draw a removal spell in the late game, that's still pretty relevant. But you could draw this in a top deck war, and they just got lands in hand because you've been staring at each other for a couple turns. Systems Override out of all these cards is the one that I'd like to try not to cut, because it's the most fun, but realistically speaking, we have 2 Embrace Oblivions and 1 Zealot to sacrifice our opponent's creature. So I don't think this is going to be incredible that often, but it can still randomly win the game in the late game too, which is fun. Really don't think I can cut a land here and be on 16 lands. I really don't want to miss land drops. I do have some high curve cards. I've got a lot of places to sink my mana, like these lander tokens. I don't want to cut the Systems Override, but if I don't cut it, then what am I cutting? Maybe I can still just go 16 creatures. That's probably still fine. Cut the 4th Virus Beetle. Or I could be incredibly annoying, and I could meet in the middle between a 16-lander and a 17-lander, a 17-land 41-card deck. Slightly less inconsistent, and you should never do it. You should always play a 40-card deck, but if you're very lazy and you can't decide, sometimes the 41 card special is very tempting. And this is one of those times. Okay, I think we are really trying to curve out very often. I kind of want to cut Command Bridge for an always untapped land. Although these Virus Beetles don't matter much in terms of attacking or blocking early, so I do have a lot of cheap cards that I can tap to the bridges. That only matters if I wait to play them until they're my third land, but still. Yeah, I'll keep the bridge in. 17 lands for sure. And let's be lazy. I'm going to call it a deck there. 17 land special. As we head into gameplay. All right, here we are on the play for game number 1. Get a pretty aggressive start here. Play a 3-2 on turn 2. Pangolin on turn 3. And then Scrapbot make the Pangolin a 4-4. Could be the play. I could also just curve out and play the Scrapbot on 3. To have the token sitting around to sack to Embrace Oblivion later if necessary. Alright, they play a Death Toucher here. Just trade into a 3-2, that's fine. Get it out of the way. Here's the Scrapbot. Gonna curve into the Swarm color now. Can sack that lander token to draw a card off the color. Coveron. They need 12 power stationed into this, but then they can sack lands and turn them into 2/2s, and then +1/+1 haste their whole board. It's kind of scary. Another Embrace Oblivion's a bit of an awkward draw. Drawing multiples of these is going to be pretty restrictive, because then we're wanting to sacrifice many permanents, and obviously we don't have that much sack fodder. Okay. Now I can Oblivion the Colossus and play Faithful for a 3-1. Stay aggressive. They're down to 12. 8 power on our board. Lash Whip Predator, 5/7 reach. Oh, and the 1-mana removal Plasma Bolt. Yeah, the cost reduction on this card was just absolutely incredible for our opponent. To double spell us there. Huge way to get stabilizing here. Because Embrace Oblivion sacking any of these is rough, because we have to sacrifice a real card. That might have just won them the game there. That double spell was huge. This 5/7 reach, I can't attack into it. If I crack something to Embrace Oblivion, I'm 2 for 1 of myself to put them to 9. And they still have 3 cards left, and I've got like a single 3-1 and a 2-2. It kind of feels like I have to just play Pangolin and pass, but that also doesn't sound like a winning strat. Because then they're stable, they get to sit here and keep working their way up the curve, playing 7-drop, 8-drop bombs. Man, what a swing that double spell turn was. Probably the turn of the game that has completely flipped it around on us. And I now think I'm firmly in the losing position. Like, I guess I could have sacked the Pangolin to the Oblivion. That would be the most all-in play that we can make, just trying to damage them. Okay. Oh, man. Now I hit for 7 here. What I got? I'm gonna have to 2 for myself. They're at 5. Our Hasting Flyer is actually pretty lethal now. 4 damage in the sky. It does 1 damage to specifically a creature when it enters. Can't actually hit face. I thought it could hit face. First time I saw it, my opponent pinged my creature. I'm like, what's happening? But it actually can't, weirdly enough. Brood Guard Elite, 7/7. They warped it in to unlock their station and put all the counters on Landseeker. They're dead to me drawing an artifact for warping that instead of just casting it. Of course, I didn't draw an artifact, so I guess it doesn't matter, but... Oh, god dang it. That was such a bold play. I had so many lethal draws because they chose to do that. Alas. Put them to 1. And get ready to die. I mean, they have no reach. They might still die in 2 swings. Oh god, life gain? It's landfall life gain, though, so it's only life gain when they're missing on their draw steps. Sunken Citadel. They're dead. They're still dead. No reach. Yeah, they played the stationing a little too aggressively there. They just held the 2 blockers up. I could only poke for the 2 instead of the 4, and they would have had 1 more turn to draw into something. Oh, man. Terrifying game, but a victory for us to start it off. 1-0 heading into game 2. Good old 11 power Menacer hanging out. All right, here we are on the play for game 2. There is no red source in this opener, but I'm okay with it. Boom. Hole Carver. Good thing I can warp this boy from my graveyard. So you are welcome to trade a Death Toucher into it. And I'll just play it again next turn, plus Virus Beetle. Actually might need a scrap bot. I've got 2 red spells now. It definitely if I draw a 3rd. Ew. Oh man, that's rough. I drew a 3rd red spell, so I don't really have much of a choice but to set up my red mana. But 2 1/1s off of the 1 card is really good against that play. A 1 toughness creature. All in. Probably have a Virus Beetle or something then to still get a good block on Scrapbot. If they're just going to play like a 3-2 or a 2-2 here... Wow. Okay. Oh, never mind, I see. It's because it's one of the rares that needs 2 creatures tapped. Alright. Oof. Very pivotal missed land draw there. Now I can't kill Chaplain. Yeah, that's gnarly. I have to haste out the Kohler and just get a red source right now. I can't not get a red source. I've drawn literally all red spells this game. I mean, the opener had a bunch of black spells, but every draw step we hit red. I can pretend I have a combat trick here. Or I can just let the Kohler go into exile so I know I can hardcast it later. I feel like our opponent shouldn't block if I attack with both, but there's like a 50-50 chance they would. And it would be very bad for me if they did. I think I have to go for the attack there because this thing is so flimsy. It's very easy for that to get enough toughness for this to not matter, them to just blow it up. So I don't think there's really any value holding a 3-1 up on blocks there. I just sequenced that wrong. I just gave them Void. I don't think it matters. though. Because this has Menace, even if it didn't get the counter from that, because it got the counter from Chaplain, it'd still be a 3/3 Menace when I'm at 8. So I'd have to plunge this instead of the Chaplain. That's all I have. Yeah. That was a pretty rough misplay, but it didn't actually affect the game at all, because I would still end up just shooting that and passing. It's a good thing to get out of the way in the early access event as well. Something to keep in mind. You should crack your lander tokens all the way in their end step. It's really easy to get lazy on Arena because you want it to stop holding for you. You want to stop having to click OK. But if you crack a lander during their main phase, when they move to the end step, they'll have void triggers if they play anything with void after you crack the lander. That's really bad for you. And these draws are quite bad for me. Alright, we just get absolutely deleted by the Chaplain here. Not be technically dead on board, but our deck has no outs to all this. We are missing way too many lands and drawing way too many red spells. Rough game for us, but we are 1-1 heading to game 3. Alright, here we are for game 3. For an opening hand, this is pretty awkward. I have like one proactive play and it's a 1/1. And then I like blow up their first creature. We really don't want to override in the opening hand, because we don't want to cast that until like turn 10 to try to finish things off. The Mechan's a pretty good draw. Now I'm happy to trade the, well, not trade it, but like chump block with the Beetle at any point. Just to have something engraved for the Mechan. And that gives me 2 more plays later. And the fact that it keeps growing off of void triggers means it could get big enough to start activating the Enclave if I flood out. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 drone with flying that cannot block non-flyers. Alright, good enough to kill before they get any triggers. And let's poke. Really hope I draw literally any creature, because at this rate I will not be mechaning on turn 4. Thank goodness. Good draw is good. Now we can play Scrapbot and pass. They have the counterspell here. It is good here. They do not cast a counterspell. I have an extra artifact sitting around to sacrifice to something later. Play a 3/1. Oh! I completely didn't realize you can do that. That actually means it's a lot better in our deck than I thought it was. We can sack our Virus Beetles to draw 2. Pretty nice. I think I'm just swinging here because I have the Mechan to pick somebody up. Cool. There's the Enclave. We have a 3 power creature on board. We can void it up to 4 next turn if it's still around. Let's roll for some fixing and ramp for our opponent. Cryogen Relic. Draw a card immediately. They can sack it, put a stun counter on a creature, and draw another card next turn. Pretty good. So they'll stun the Mechan here most likely. If I play Scrapbot and Crawler, I don't get the Void trigger this turn, but I do get a nice wide board for future attacks, so I do enjoy that. I'm gonna hope their top end is like a good beefy spacecraft for us to just override and kill them with. That would be spectacular. Creeping Tar Pit, that's a great land. Blue-black dual land also turns into an unblockable attacker if they want. Oh, let's go. That's a somewhat beefy spacecraft. Not quite as big as I would hope. Just a 4/4 flyer. But not bad. I mean, I guess we probably end up overriding something that's actually blocking right now. I hit for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, no, I just lethal. Alright. Little anticlimactic, but what are you going to do? Alright. That is 3-1. For some reason, I feel like I've lost twice. But I think it's actually 3-1. Oh, it's 2-1. Okay. It's 2-1. I knew there was something wrong about that. We're only 3 games deep. But here we are in game number 4 against a crocodile. Let's go. All virus beetles all day. They're solid with the Embrace Oblivion. I'm going to keep this. And we're going to annoy our opponent to death. Remnant Elemental. So that attacks as a 2/4 basically every turn by itself. Just play 1 land per turn. But if they get lander tokens, that's when they can double landfall it and potentially be attacking like a 4/4. No turn 3 play. Override should be solid in this matchup. Green has some insane beef in this set. Ooh, they did the thing. Deal damage equal to the toughness with the 0/4. Alright, let's get really rude. Yeah, let's get really rude, actually. I should actually probably save Embrace Oblivion and hit a little less hard. Do the steal and sack. They're over it. They hated that. And we are 3-1 heading into game number 5. Alright, game number 5. We got early removal. We have 1 good early threat. If they just have like the 1-mana removal for Zealot, then we really need to draw more creatures. But if they don't have cheap removal themselves, then we just keep beating in and clearing out their blockers. No, this Knight Captain has been incredible. That card is just quite good. So awkward, I have to just kill a 1/1 here. Bell Grav Ship. Pick it back up and put 2 more 1/1s back on the board. Oh god, they have the 2-mana 4/1 Menace. Oh man. So this thing has a big downside if it attacks. You keep putting +1/+1 counters on your opponent's board. But if you use it to station your vehicles, it's really good. Or station your spacecraft. Because this is, by itself, half of a Grav Ship station. So they play it station and the next turn the Grav Ship is ready to attack. That is gnarly. I do have the Steal and Sack combo plus an Orbital Plunge here. I think I'm in a reasonably good spot. But won't take a lot from our opponent, I think, to win off of great synergies like the Saboteur Graph Ship thing going on here. Oh, God. Convoke kill. That was a very good turn, too. Well, I'm insanely flooded, so I don't think it really matters if I discard a card here. So let's do it. Keep that Graph Ship locked. I don't think it'd be crazy to hit for 4 here, but I have cards that can sacrifice this artifact for more value than that. Like, if I top deck my sack a creature, artifact, destroy a creature, I'm going to be really sad that I chose to sack it just for 2 damage. They hit me for 1 and passed. With all their mana up? Pretty suspicious. Okay. Crack back. This is pre-release, I have no idea what you got. Can't really play around anything. Oh, just destroy a tapped creature? Fair. Another crawler. Draw 2 for 1 here. It's pretty strong. Oh wow, their mana base is good. They got an on-color Shockland. Absolute jealousy on this side of the table. Absolute jealousy. My color pair doesn't even have an on-color Shockland in this set. Even if I steal and sack the Saboteur, they get to activate the Graph Ship next turn with any other creature, because that's 3 power between the Human Soldier and the 2/1 Prospector. Looking pretty dead after that 2 for 1. Looking pretty dead. They have 1 power now, they just need to put 3 more on the board to get the Graph Ship going. Could have stolen and sacked the Graph Ship instead. Maybe that's the play there. Okay, that would have been so bad for me if I stole and sacked the Graph Ship. Because then they could reanimate the Graph Ship instead of reanimating just like a Seam Rip that doesn't do anything. So I guess we were really doomed either way, because the Reclaimer was coming up here. That's pretty filthy. Yeah, no, that would have been astronomically bad if we sacked Graph Ship. Still does not look very winnable. The fact that this picks up the O-Ring for my Lander token, the turn before I hit the Oblivion to finally use it. Bit of a comedy of errors, this game. Things just kind of lined up pretty poorly for us. We're so dead. So they also get to station up this rammer in the sky with all their ground troops. My ground attacks are awful. They double block with Prospector and a 1/1 and kill the crawler. And my draws are pretty awful too. Got me. That is 3-2 now for this draft. We'll play one final game here before we move on, as we're at the 52-minute mark recording-wise. So, about 8 minutes left to get recording the next video. Alright, here we are for the final game of Magic. Win or lose, we're 3-2 right now. Our worst case scenario is a 50-50 run. So this can't be a super bad run here, but it could be a mediocre one based on our other runs. We've had some like 5 winners, like 5-1s and stuff. 7 winning the sealed. Well, 1 the sealeds. Got a pretty reasonable draw there. The color is good with the Embrace Oblivion. Scrapbot's the draw. They're stuck on 2 mana here, so they're going to use the Lander token. This doesn't do anything else till 8 mana. So I like the Scrapbot here. Oh, wow. They're going to counter a Scrapbot when they're stuck on just 2 lands instead of cracking the Lander. We take those. Feels beneficial to me, because I am not stuck on lands, little do they know. They can have another Lander token. It's going to take them a lot of time to use it. If they crack this one, they have 3 mana next turn. And then, okay, yeah, they're not even going to do that. Just hold it up on blocks here. Each creature dies, return to the battlefield under its owner's control. So recast itself without having to do all the warp shenanigans. I guess if I don't really want to play Faithful right now, that's fine. I kind of don't. I don't know, Faithful draw 2 haste in the color also seems super fine. There's a lot of ways to play this. I'm gonna go Faithful. I was gonna say I didn't want to spend removal. If I draw Trajectory, I don't think it'd be crazy. Yeah. If I can get a 3-1 draw 2 and play removal spell in the same turn, then it's probably worth it. But if the turn was just going to be like Oblivion a corner away, replay it, it's not that exciting. Two toughness Thawbringer here. Go for it. Full speed ahead. Big damage. Go, Hellkite, go. They got the tap for the Faithful. We're taking big damage on the crackback then. Go to 6. They're at 14. They're dead in 3 flying swings. What happens if they don't take the trade here? I kill Thawbringer and the Stinger. Go to 4 on the crackback. Yeah, I can go for this here. The trade is good for me, and if they don't trade, I have a play to definitely survive. All right. Opponent was really stuck on mana there. We just didn't let them get the next lander off the rover. Took them quite a while to even get the 3rd land off cracking the lander token because they did counter our 3-drop instead of cracking it early. Good aggressive stuff from Rakdos there. We got to play our nice dragon for that final game. That really helped us get that victory. Getting a bit of a win off of our bomber, but you take those. That's 4-2. Another positive record out of that draft. Pretty fun stuff there. I'm not so sure about this archetype. Certainly the losses, it really felt like there was not much we could do. Just felt like all of our stuff was really insignificant in the grand scheme of things compared to our opponents having like some big 2 and 3 for ones. Just not a lot of incredibly impactful stuff. You just really need to get the early curve and get some damage going with this kind of deck. I don't know, like you can try to work your way into a 2 for 1 with like Fire Speed will make them discard a card plus get free sacks off of it later, but it's not the most impressive thing. I haven't been super impressed by Rakdos, I think is what I'm trying to say here, but it's obviously at least playable. We went 4-2 with it. It's not like it was useless or anything, but I think it definitely has a lot of cards, at least in this build that I made, that feel a bit filler. Feels like you can fall behind in card advantage pretty easily as you get later in the game. But who knows? We'll see. We'll see how things shape up as the format progresses, but that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you'd like to see some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe. Tell the YouTube about them, send some more in the recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.